going on, everybody? Happy New Year. It's Mistress Carrie. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room, episode 336, believe it or not, and welcome to 2026. This is what we do every Tuesday night. Welcome to the War Room, an actual room in my house where we've been getting together for almost 6 years. Our anniversary is actually coming up on March 14th. When we started Cocktails in the War Room back in 2020, we rode out the pandemic with 80 shows in a row. Our livers were definitely in pain by the end of that. But then in the summer of 2020, we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast. And then we turned Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show like it is right now. And so every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, we get together on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube to talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on in our lives, and probably most importantly, what's going on in the world of rock and metal. And as you have learned over the last 336 episodes, well, the show is steered by my co-host. So that is Wednesday, the Goth Pug. You can find her on Instagram. And, well, her baby sister, Friday, is sitting here in my lap. So the pugs rule the roost around here. So thank you guys for joining me each and every Tuesday night and for hanging out with me. Happy New Year, Brett and Bish and Alexis and Marcy and Jessica and Eric and Kim. Carol is here, Donna and Lisa. Also, Lou is joining us. Betty is here in the War Room as well. So chime in on the comments, especially if this is your first episode that you're hanging out. People wonder like what Cocktails in the War Room is. I've been trying to explain it. It's basically an Ask Me Anything that we do every Tuesday night, except it involves cocktails and pugs. So we talk about basically whatever you guys want to talk about. So if it's the first time that you're hanging out in the War Room, chime in on the comments. Instagram, Twitch. If it's your first episode too, by the way, let us know where you're watching from so that we can welcome you properly, the War Room family, as they have dubbed themselves, the OGs that have been here since the beginning. They've got a glossary and an index of inside jokes and terms, which we affectionately call the Dictionary, which is linked if you go to mistresscarrie.com and go to the Cocktails in the War Room section. Christine says, hi, fam. Rachel, what's up? David, make sure you put some salt down tonight and watch your steps. Yeah, so I need to tell you guys how I rung in the new year. What's up, Tim, on YouTube? Also, Kev on YouTube says, hey, MC, Wednesday and Friday, Happy New Year. Kevin Guthrie watching on YouTube. Also, Dave says, Happy New Year. Donna, welcome to all of the new members. Bish says, and landmines in the War Room. Are there any? No, there are not landmines in the War Room tonight. The pugs have been very well behaved, and I took them out before the show started. So hopefully we may suffer a pug fart or two during the show tonight, which I apologize for. I will be the only one that suffers through that. But no, there were no landmines in the War Room tonight, which is good. Jen says, we are getting an ice storm. I know. So that brings me to how I rang in the new year. Literally rang in the new year. So we got together right before the new year last week. And Mr. C and my bonus son were up here. And like we have for many New Years before, we were going to go into Boston after the new year. So we decided we were just going to ring in the new year at home. We were supposed to get snow later on New Year's Eve. So we did what we always do on New Year's Eve. We decorate the house. We made tacos. We chilled the champagne. We usually watch movies, something. We're trying to educate the kids, the teenagers, about the movies, like the great movies from like the 80s. And so we watch old movies, and then obviously, we catch all of the ball dropping action from Times Square and ring in the new year. So that's what we did. And at about 1:30, 1:45-ish in the morning, it was like, okay, it's time to go to bed. I didn't have to work the next morning at all. So we just all had the agreement that everybody was just going to go to bed, and we were going to wake up whenever we felt like it and then have New Year's Day kind of breakfast together. And that was going to be the thing. If everybody wanted to sleep in, if you wanted to sleep till noon, totally fine. We would just wake up and have brunch, whatever. And so my husband was like, I'm going to put wood in the wood stoves and kind of button down the house and clean up a little bit. And I was like, I'm going to take the dogs outside. No big deal. Like a lot of New Englanders who have to take the dogs out late at night before we go to bed, I keep a pair of Crocs next to the door. And I just kick them on. I go outside. It had been snowing for a little while, but there was literally like this much snow on the ground. So I'm like, I'm just going to kick my Crocs on. I'm going to take the dogs out, let them pee one more time, and then we're going to go to bed. So I'm out there and really, Friday, are you snorting into the microphone because you know the story that's coming? So there I am out in the driveway with the dogs. My husband's inside. And I had zipped up. I have a long, giant puffer coat, like a duster that goes all the way down to my ankles. And I live in this thing in the wintertime. And I keep it hung up right next to the door because I just throw it on every time I take the dogs out. But I had a hoodie on, like underneath my jacket, and my phone was inside the pockets of my hoodie. So I take the dogs out, and the driveway's got a little bit of a hill to it. I'm walking the dogs around. I'm trying to get them to, get out whatever little bit of energy was left in them and get them to go to the bathroom. And coming back down the slope of the driveway, my Crocs failed me. And when I tell you my feet slipped out from underneath me, I was like this. I was like this walking, and then I was like this parallel to the driveway. And I hit the driveway with my ass, my elbows, and the back of my head all at the same time. And I rung my bell. Like when I tell you I rang in the new year, it's not a freaking joke. And the good thing was that I had a beanie on that I had been wearing kind of all night, and that my big coat has a hood. So when I landed, the beanie was a fold over beanie, so it was double thick on the back. And the hood got pushed up against my head. So thankfully, my head did not just hit the ice and the snow in the driveway by itself. It was cushioned a little bit by the beanie and the hood of my jacket. And I hit, and like the wind got knocked out of my lungs, and the leashes that I was holding on to, my instinct was to grip them tighter. It's like 1:30 in the morning. The pugs are on their leashes. It's cold outside. And so I hit the ground, and now I'm like, am I bleeding? Am I okay? Anybody that's ever fallen on the ice or whatever, you do a systems check, right? You're like, can I wiggle my fingers and my toes? Okay, do I know where I am? Am I bleeding anywhere? Is anything broken? And now I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can get up. It's super icy out here. I've got the dogs that are trying to go inside, so they're pulling on the leashes because they're cold. And now I reach into my pocket to get my phone to call my husband because he has no idea what the hell is happening. He's inside putting wood in the wood stoves and locking up the house. And I realized that the phone is in the pocket to my hoodie, not in the pocket to my jacket. So now I'm trying to reach up underneath my winter jacket to call my husband, and I accidentally butt dialed one of my friends that I had talked to earlier that day. And she was like, I'm never even going to make it to midnight. I think me and my husband are going to bed early tonight. And now I'm butt dialing her while I'm laying in the snow in my driveway. Thankfully, I didn't wake her up, but she did text me the next day and be like, did you mean to call me last night at like 1:30 in the morning? So I call my husband, and I'm like, babe, I fell in. He was like, why are you calling me? You're in the driveway. Like, what's going on? Because he didn't see me fall. And I was like, I fell in the driveway. I think I hurt myself. I need you to come help me, but don't wear your Crocs. Like, you need to put boots on. It's really icy out here. And so next thing you know, here he comes out there. He grabs the dog's leashes. He helps me up off the ground. The driveway in like an hour had become a sheet of ice. And because when we had walked the dogs earlier, it wasn't slippery at all. So now I'm like walking in the snow in my Crocs, and I'm just holding my head, and it hurt so freaking bad. So we get inside. I stay up for a little while to make sure that I'm not concussed, to make sure that I'm okay. Take some Advil. I go to bed. The next day I get up. My head's a little sore. My elbows were sore because I had some bruising on them from when I hit the ground, but thankfully my coat kind of padded that as well. January 2nd, I go to get out of bed. And when I tell you the whiplash, these muscles in my neck made it so hard to sit up in bed. I was so sore. I wasn't sore New Year's Day, but my muscles, the second, the third, and the fourth, especially in my neck, hurt so bad. So Backstage Pass holders, I sent you guys an update saying maybe we would do the live stream this past Sunday night. I was medicated. We did not do a live stream on Sunday night. We are going to do our live stream coming up this Sunday. So, Bish says the Russian judge gave it a 6.9. Rachel says, what possessed you to wear Crocs in the middle of winter? Anyway, Rachel, I'm one of those massholes that as long as the snow is not deeper than the Crocs, I've got socks on. I just throw the Crocs on to walk the dogs really quick. If there's nothing on the driveway, if it's cold, I'm only going to be out there for a couple of minutes. The pugs don't like to be cold. So they are motivated, even with a jacket on, to go to the bathroom really fast so that they can come inside, get a cookie, and snuggle up in the bed with mommy. So I always kick my Crocs on. But I have learned that maybe that is not the best place. Are they bright purple Crocs? No, they're just standard issue black Crocs. They do have the Wednesday Adam gibbets in them, though, that you guys sent me because my bonus kids put the gibbets in them. So death shoes, says Jen. No kidding. I did not have them in sport mode either. So they went flying off. It was brutal. What's up, Mr. LeBlanc? Checking in. Alexis says, oh no. Mike says, was wondering what happened to you. Glad you're okay. Listen to you guys every morning. Yeah, it was a little brutal. I was a little sore. So a little bit of whiplash, a little bit of bruised pride, but I rang in my new year in the prone position in my driveway, being saved by Mr. C. Mr. C wears Crocs. Okay, look, everybody in the family has a pair of Crocs. Now, the ones that everybody else in the family has are the fur-lined ones, and they wear them like house shoes, like slippers, because as we have discussed, my house is a little bit cooler in the wintertime than the rest of my family is accustomed to, especially they spend so much time down south, and the tile floors can be cold. So rather than wear like slippers, they wear like the Crocs with the liners in them, and they only wear them in the house. But I didn't want my husband running outside more worried about me than what was on his feet and slipping outside the way that I did. So I was like, do not wear Crocs outside. Like, it's really, really slippery. So he came out in the brand new winter boots that I bought him for his birthday back in September. So he had plenty of traction. But yes, we all own Crocs. It's a thing. I wear mine outside because I wear them in the garden mostly, or walking the dogs. I just kick them on and walk the dogs. It's not a big deal until you slip and fall in the driveway in the freaking snow. I think we all do wear Crocs. Like, look, everybody's got a pair, you know, that they kick around in, slippers, garden shoes, whatever. Lou says, are you okay now? Yes, I'm okay now. My pride more bruised than anything. But yeah, I'm okay. Carol says, I was wearing backless shoes and fell off the deck. Yeah, the Crocs are not the only, like flip-flops, the slides, like all of those shoes are dangerous, and everybody has got a pair that's by the front door that you kind of kick on to take out the trash or to go get the mail. Like, that's what the Crocs are for. They're by the door, and normally I just take them and I wear them to like walk the dogs really quick. I thought it was a dusting of snow outside and didn't think it was going to be a big deal to be out there for 5 minutes in my Crocs. I was obviously proven wrong. I learned my lesson. Let's see. Jonathan says, yikes. Figured you weren't feeling well, says Donna. Yeah, I was not. David said that masshole would have shorts on and a hoodie and puffy coat. Well, I had a hoodie on. I had a puffy coat on. I had Crocs on. I just did not have shorts on. I need winter Crocs. Look, here's the thing. Crocs makes all kinds of different things. They make like like my bonus son wanted some of these South Park Crocs for Christmas that he ended up getting because he really wanted them because he wears Crocs all the time. He lives in North Carolina. It's warm all the time. They get very little snow. So he wears them all the time. I don't understand why Crocs doesn't make shoes, like actual Crocs that are made for people in cold weather that have like rubber traction nubs on the bottom. For massholes, for people that are for people in Buffalo, for people that are like up in Michigan and in Wisconsin and just any place that gets cold weather and snow. If you had a pair of Crocs that had little nubs for traction on the ice, like snow tires, except snow Crocs, why is Crocs not making those so that people like us can have them by the door and we could kick them on and go get the mail or walk the dogs? I'm not saying shovel the driveway in them. I'm not saying, go run errands. I'm not saying traverse the frozen tundra in them. I'm saying take the trash out, go get the mail, walk the dogs real quick. Why do they not have Crocs that have winter traction nubs on the bottom? 4x4 Crocs. That's all I'm saying. Crocs. If you're watching us here in the War Room, why are you not doing this? Like, I'm almost to the point where I'm going to take an old pair of Crocs and I'm going to take some screws and I'm going to screw them through the bottom so that I have traction to test them. And then maybe I'll pitch my idea to Crocs and see if they'll buy it off of me, because had I had those Crocs on, I wouldn't have fallen down. Carol says, my husband calls them summer shoes. David said, true masshole. Yes, I had the puffy coat on, but I wear Crocs to go outside, says Jessica. Bish says, my mom broke her ankle a few years ago, slipping in the rain in Crocs. Yeah, because the traction's terrible. They need full traction Crocs. Christine says they are ugly as sin, but they are so comfortable. I remember the first time I saw Crocs, and I don't mean in the movie Idiocracy, which if you guys didn't realize that, Crocs was a nobody company. And Idiocracy had no budget, and they needed footwear for the cast, for all of the people that were living in the movie. And if you go back and watch Idiocracy, everyone's wearing Crocs because the costume designers were like, this is supposed to be a future where everyone is stupid, and this is what that would look like. No one would wear these ridiculously ugly shoes. And so that's what's in the movie. If you go back and watch it, everyone in Idiocracy is wearing Crocs. I remember the first time I saw them, Lyndon Byers, LB, wore them to work into the AAF studio, and they were bright yellow Crocs, and we were relentless in making fun of him for wearing them. And he was like, they're so comfortable. I'm wearing them. I don't understand. Like, I don't care if they're ugly. Like, I just simply do not care if they're ugly. They're that comfortable. And I have really bad feet, as you guys know. And I don't like to go in my garden barefoot, because a few years ago, I had a stick go up through my foot and had to go to the ER and have a piece of wood removed from my foot. And I had to get updated tetanus shots because I had a giant piece of wood lodged in my foot. So I wear them in the garden and stuff. And yes, they're comfortable. Did Mr. C scoop you up and fireman carry you into the house? No, he did help me up, but I leaned on him because he was also managing his own footing and the dogs that at this point had been outside for far too long and were very upset. So Bish says Mr. C is getting court-martialed for his Crocs. He's retired, so you can't court-martial him. I have the Mossy Oak wool line Crocs. I live in them and got everybody we had at Christmas over with a pair. They make really good slippers. My family wears them in the house as long as they don't wear them outside. And then in the house, I'm totally fine with them having like house shoes. And that's what they wear in the house, is that they just wear the Crocs. So you took a Home Alone kind of fall. They suck. I absolutely did. I have never owned a pair. I don't know what your name is because you're commenting on Instagram and it's only showing me your username, which is like FEL8090, but I have owned pairs of Crocs for you. I get myself a new pair every year because by the end of the gardening season, my Crocs are trashed. So, Jessica says, glad you're okay. I am. Trisha said 1 year ago today, my son's friend died. They did a vigil in Leominster tonight. R.I.P. to Ezra Millard. I had no idea that was happening tonight, Trisha. So thank you for letting me know. Double horns time, says Travis. Auntie Ange says Crocs sandals are great, but not in the snow. I know that now, Auntie Ange. Walter, grab the Crocs, says Bish. They need the icy grippers on the bottom. That's what I'm talking about. So I did want to let you guys know, and this is not a product endorsement, but my winter boots that like just kind of pull on, that I don't have to lace or anything, which I now wear when I'm walking the dogs in the wintertime. I got these things called Yak Tracks, which I wanted to tip you guys off because we're getting an ice storm tonight. And ice storms, anybody that lives in the cold weather, especially in the Northeast, will tell you we would rather get 3 feet of snow than an ice storm because the ice storms are just so unpredictable and it weighs the tree limbs down. And so that's how we lose power. It weighs the power lines down. It makes driving super dangerous. It makes doing everything outside, getting the mail, walking the dogs, taking out the trash, everything super dangerous. So I got these things called Yak Tracks, and they're basically these rubberized traction things that you pull over the soles of your shoes. I tried to put them on my Crocs. They don't fit, but they do fit on my winter boots. And they have like metal springs underneath. So you can't wear them in the house because they'll trash your floors. But they give you unbelievable traction when it's slippery outside. And they cost me, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks, something like that. So you don't have to buy a new pair of shoes. You just get these things and you stretch them. They're made of like that silicone rubber, and you stretch them. Oh, you put your toe in and you stretch them over the entire sole of your shoe. And it makes your shoes unbelievably secure in the icy conditions outside. So if Yak Tracks wants to sponsor the Mistress Carrie podcast, or you want to sponsor Cocktails in the War Room, bring it on because your product is awesome and I use them all the time when the weather really sucks. I should have worn them on New Year's Eve and I did not. So that is a cheap alternative than getting a brand new pair of winter boots, and you can pop them on and off in 2 seconds. So you can use them with different pairs of shoes, just not Crocs because they don't fit. Hey, guys, can you not unplug the show with your pillow fight right now? Can you not do that? They're throwing pillows around. What's up, Alicia? Checking in with everybody. Tactical Crocs are needed. Eric, 100%. LL Bean is dying here saying, Carrie, wear boots. Look, if LL Bean wants to sponsor the podcast or wants to sponsor Cocktails in the War Room, I will be outfitted in LL Bean from head to toe and would love that. I made a mistake. I'm owning my mistake. I'm admitting I wore Crocs in the snow. I fell down and almost broke my head wide open. I learned my lesson. People wear Crocs, drive Subarus, wear Lands and live in Vermont. Listen, don't judge me. I am a gardener. You know this. I'm Italian. We grow tomatoes and basil. It's what we do. I wear Crocs in the garden. Crocs makes high heels. Yeah, they also make like the truck nuts for your Crocs, which I also refuse to have. There's a lot of aftermarket accessories for Crocs. I just want winter traction for my Crocs. So there you go. Let's see. Lisa says, I have those. Talking about the Yak Tracks. What's up, Jeff? He says, hey, Carrie, long time. What's going on, Jeff? Jen says they are cheap and they work awesome. Yeah, those Yak Track things are great. And they don't weigh anything, so you can keep them in the car. You can keep them in a... Hey, will you guys stop it? What are you doing? And like I said, they come in different sizes and you can swap them on different pairs of shoes. So my suggestion would be to have them and either keep them in the car or keep them, by the front door in like your drop zone area in your house in case you've got to do what I have to do, which is take the dogs out late at night and you don't want to fall and break your ass. So Jeff says, I have a pair of those. Gonna be wicked here in New England tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow morning's commute is supposed to be really dangerous. So I would expect school delays, and I would also try to work from home in the morning or go in a little bit late to the office because it is going to be icy tomorrow morning. So Bish says they're called lesbians. I've seen guys on motorcycles wearing Crocs. Bad idea. That's horrifying. I've seen people ride motorcycles in sneakers, in sandals. I've seen girls on the back with like heels on. All you have to do is Google motorcycle accidents in sandals or sneakers one time. I made that mistake one time. I'll never do it again. As somebody that survived a crash, dress for the crash, not for the ride, wear your boots, like wear all the riding gear. So there you go. So that's how I rang in my new year. So guys, hey, come over here. Wednesday, Friday, over here. Come over here and say hi to everybody. Sit down. Sit. Can you guys stop wrestling? Can you stop wrestling for a minute and just relax for a minute? You're throwing pillows all over the place. You're making a lot of noise. One of you guys is going to get hurt. It's most likely going to be you Wednesday because you're the old lady. So can you just relax, please? Just for a minute. Just chill. Lou says, grow vegetables. Yes, I grow vegetables. Okay. Want to remind you guys of where you can hear me on the radio. You can hear me every weekday in the midday from 10 to 3 on Charleston's Best Rock, 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. Download the 98 Rock app to stream the station from anywhere, or just go to my98rock.com. And we do the 98 Rock Lunchbox every weekday in the noon hour. We change up the music every day, and it's music from the same theme, from the same era, or the same year. And you can make suggestions on the call text line about a theme that you would like to hear. You can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester, Massachusetts. Go to pikefm.com or download the free Pike app. This week, I have got Triumph tickets to give away to see them in Boston at the Leader Bank Pavilion on June 6th. You can hear me every weekday afternoon on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. You can go to 1063thebone.com or download the Bone app and stream the station from anywhere. And you can hear me every weekday morning from 6 to 10 mornings with Mistress Carrie on Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass. We do the 90s at 9 every weekday, and also What the Hell Happened on this day in history at 7:45, running down everything from the crazy things that happened to big news stories to rock star birthdays. Jason said, I'm 48 and never had a pair of Crocs. Your doggies are so cute, says Della. Thank you, Della. Hold on. I just gave them the last of their treats. Do you guys want to say hi to Della and everybody? And tell them to follow you on Instagram? So that's all the places that you can find me on the interwebs. Now, normally here in the War Room, because it's a show where we talk about things and we have cocktails, we go over cocktail recipes. And today, which I have not gone over birthdays yet, but today is Malcolm Young from AC/DC's birthday. So Melissa got me these books that pair music references and cocktail recipes at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the museum shop. And so there is actually an AC/DC section of this cocktail book. And so there is a drink called Hell's Bells. So in honor of Malcolm Young's birthday today, it is an ounce of tequila and an ounce of Sambuca. You pour over ice into a rocks glass and serve, and that is called a Hell's Bells. Now, there's also a section in here, it says the AC/DC open bar. To prepare an AC/DC wet bar, put out a bottle or two of each liquor with a couple of boxes of wine. And this is like if you're preparing for a party and you want to make sure that you kind of have everything. So the AC/DC Open Bar is a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of gin, a bottle of brandy, a bottle of White Lightning moonshine, a bottle of tequila, and a bottle of cheap wine. It says additional mixers, club soda, tonic water, Coca-Cola, lemon wedges, lime wedges. Let the guests make their own drinks and mistakes and prepare for the party to shake all night long. So if you're going to do any kind of open bar, that is the AC/DC suggestion on what you should be putting out for all of your friends. So there you go. All right. Want to let you guys know about this event that's coming up at the end of January. I checked in with the guys today. There are 20 tickets left. So this is going to sell out really, really quick. The guys from Booze, Brews, and Barbecue, who basically go around and drink microbrew beer in some of the most haunted places around the country, including Barry Kirch from Shinedown and John Guarnieri, who we had on the show, who is their head of security. He's a former Secret Service agent. That's two of the three guys that are on this podcast that you can watch on YouTube. And they put this event together. It's happening January 30th at the East Regiment Beer Company in Salem, Massachusetts. It's going to be from 6 to 9 o'clock. The VIP is already sold out. I checked in with the guys today. I was like, guys, I'm going in the war room later on tonight. Are there tickets left? They said, yes, about 20. So you can go to the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com and get the link to get your tickets. But it's basically going to be a live discussion about haunted happenings in Salem. It's going to be a beer tasting, and then I am going to be emceeing the Q&A. And so if you want to come and hang out with us, that's going to be on January 30th, and you can get all of the details on all of the events that I'm doing, the appearances, and obviously all of the concerts around New England. Just go to the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Wrapping up last week's podcast episode, I had a chance to talk to the teenage son of Robert Trujillo from Metallica, Ty Trujillo, who is a bass player like his dad, who has taken over playing bass for his dad's old band, Suicidal Tendencies, but he has also got his own band, power trio called Otto. And so not only did we talk about the new Otto EP, we talked about Suicidal Tendencies, we talked about growing up in a rock star family. And just like with Wolfgang Van Halen and this week's podcast guest that we'll get to in a minute, we talked about growing up in a generational music family and whether or not music is a genetic thing, if it is a learned behavior. And he's a teenage kid who is now like putting his own band out there. Otto toured with Metallica and was doing all of the Metallica festival stuff that was happening before those like back-to-back Metallica dates that they were doing with the two different set lists every night. So Ty Trujillo, he's also the bass player in Suicidal Tendencies, which is no small task considering that was his dad's band before Metallica. So if you missed episode 291 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, Ty Trujillo from Otto and Suicidal Tendencies was my guest. And speaking of legacy musical families, my guest not only is the sibling of a musician, he is the son of a musician and the grandson of musicians. I am talking about Matthew Nelson, one of the Nelson twins. Now, you might not know that the Nelson twins are the grandsons of Ozzy and Harriet, and Ozzy and Harriet were also recording artists. Their dad, Ricky Nelson, was a teen heartthrob at the level of like Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber fame back in the day. And obviously we also know the band Nelson from the late 80s and early 90s. Well, the Nelson brothers have come out with an autobiography called What Happened to Your Hair? And it tells their life story, which is insane because it's not just their dad that was famous. Their mom's last name is Harmon. Their grandfather won the Heisman, and Mark Harmon from NCIS is their uncle. And so these guys grew up not only in the spotlight, but also in the middle of an incredibly tumultuous and very negative divorce between their parents. And I, like a lot of people, thought that they were like the silver spoon in your mouth kids. And Matthew actually talked to me about how their mom did not want them to become musicians at all. And once the divorce happened, made it very difficult for them to be musicians at all. Took all of their musical gear out of the house, sent it to the dad. Ricky Nelson, who lived like 20 minutes away. This actually was a really personal conversation with Matthew Nelson. At one point, we both ended up crying, talking about the loss of our parents. And we got into a pretty serious discussion about loss, about grief, about a lot of really serious things. At the end of the interview, we ended up talking about music therapy for Alzheimer's and dementia patients. So there's a lot to unpack here. Now, the Nelson brothers have announced that they are going out on an acoustic tour in the new year, and they have a stop in April at City Winery Boston scheduled. I'll give you the dates and all of that info coming up. So, Matthew Nelson of the Nelson Twins is going to be my guest on episode 292 of the Mistress Carrie podcast that goes live at midnight tonight. Jen says, I was going to ask if you have been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have been there years ago, but Melissa hooked me up with all of the stuff. Jessica says, oh my God, he looks so much like his dad. Oh, you're talking about Ty Trujillo. Karina says, so proud of this kid. It was a great interview, Carrie. Very entertaining, says Lou. And Rachel says, squee, I love the Nelson twins. I want to a garden party, says Jeff. Silver Fox, Mark Harmon, Leroy Jethro Gibbs, absolute fan. Did either of them ever mention their talented dad? Jessica, not only did they mention their talented dad, Matthew told me the story about how he found out his dad died in the plane crash, which is part of what made us kind of both cry. Because the way that he found out, I'm not going to give it away. He tells the whole story, not only in this week's podcast, but each Nelson brother tells their own story of how they found out their dad died because they were not together when they found out their dad died. So basically, the way that they wrote this book is that the brothers each kind of told their own ideas of the story. And it's like 56 chapters, although not long chapters. But talking about growing up, not understanding the level of fame that their family possessed, not understanding why everybody knew who their grandparents and their dad were. And Matthew Nelson named his son Ozzy, not after Osbourne, which we talk about, but after his grandfather, who is half of Ozzy and Harriet. So there's a lot to unpack in this episode. This is a little bit longer of an episode than normal. It's almost an hour and a half long, but it's great. He was super candid. He told stories. There was nothing that was off limits. There are interviews where I have to ask questions over and over to get them to open up. Matthew Nelson, he's just done this so many times, you can just tell that he was like, no, let me tell you the story. No, let me tell you the story. And references the book a lot, which, by the way, is available. So in the show notes of this week's episode, you'll find the corresponding playlist that I always put together for the shows. You'll find all of the links to find my guest online. And you'll also find the link to buy their book and the link to get tickets to see them at City Winery Boston. But if you are outside of the New England area, the Nelson brothers, if you go to their official website, they have an entire tour itinerary. And he talks about they go out on these acoustic tours and it's just the two brothers, two acoustic guitars, and they both sing. And he was like, in the age of AI, in the age of being able to manipulate everything and people not knowing what's real and what's not, we go out and do these acoustic tours because it's just us on that stage with our songs. And you can't fake that. And so I'm really curious about this tour. He looks really good for his age. Jessica, yeah, they both look really good for their ages. Let's see. Hey, Carrie, Wednesday and Friday, Happy New Year, says Ralph. Jessica says they look so handsome. Mark is in the new Freaky Friday, says Eric. We need a War Room book club. You know what, Bish? We have talked about that, and I'm getting closer to pulling the trigger on that. us picking like maybe a book a month, or maybe even a book every couple of months because people are busy. And I want to I am not someone that reading comes to easily. I read a lot during COVID because I was trying to escape the news. And I think with the way that the world is crazy right now, leading up to the midterms, just leading up to everything that's going on in the world, I think having something that you can turn off the media, put your phone down and read a book, I think would be great. And I think if we're going to start this, to be able to bring in the author into the war room, if we can make it happen, or at the very least, do the book club here in the war room and then get the author on the podcast so that they can kind of answer all of your questions on the podcast episode would be great. Maybe someday we could turn it into something where we turn it into a live event, which you guys have always known was kind of part of my long-term plan for the podcast. But I'm getting closer and closer. The more of these rock star autobiographies that we talk about in the podcast to be able to put together some kind of a book club. So, and Matthew Nelson actually said that he'd be willing to come back on the show. So maybe he would be willing to put a book club thing together. Maybe we could do it around the show in April. I'll pitch it to him and see what they say. Kelly says, how was the Lane Staley East Coast event before the new year? Kelly, it was awesome. All of the artists were great. They want to do it again this year. So yeah, it was awesome. The bands were great. They did a big giant jam at the end. It was really, really good. Lou says music books. Yeah, like I love reading memoirs and autobiographies of people that make music that I love. Would it be solely that? No, but I think there's enough rock star books out there that we could start that way. And I think that would be really cool. So let me put some thought into it. Backstage pass holders, we're going to do a backstage pass on Sunday. And this is going to be one of the things that we talk about. And that's one of the reasons why you get a backstage pass, because you kind of get in on all of the planning stuff that happens on the show. So I'll tell you how to get a backstage pass in a bit. So this is episode 292 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. It goes live at midnight tonight. And if you subscribe to the podcast, you get the weekly episodes on Wednesdays. You also get the sit rep Monday through Friday that brings you rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates, and it's on the same podcast thread. So you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, you get the sit reps in your feed, you get the weekly episodes in your feed, and then there's miniature sit reps that you get on the air every weekday on Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass, and on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine as well. If you're wondering where to subscribe to the podcast, the answer is wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find the Mistress Carrie podcast. You can subscribe on Apple, TuneIn, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeart, Pandora. You can listen to all of the episodes in full on YouTube. It's also part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. And of course, you can listen at mistresscarrie.com. Just find whatever episode you want to listen to in the podcast section of the website and click play. I made it super easy for people that are new to podcasts. I want you to be able to check out the episodes whenever you want. And we're still in the new year, holding on strong to 149 countries that have listened to the Mistress Carrie podcast. If you're celebrating your birthday today on January 6th, happy birthday. You're sharing it with Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys, the aforementioned Malcolm Young from AC/DC, Kim Wilson, the frontman from the Fabulous Thunderbirds, and Syd Barrett from Pink Floyd. So happy birthday to you. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Jessica says, Anthony Kiedis' Scar Tissue was an interesting book to read. Well, that has been optioned and it's being made into a biopic that Anthony Kiedis is actually executive producing. So even though the book came out a while ago, we could have that be the book club because they're getting ready to make it into a movie. I think the movie's coming out this year. One thing that I do have to look into, and I would have to ask around, is doing any kind of book club where we were actually discussing the contents of the book, and legally if that has anything like any kind of copyright or trademark infringement because we would be discussing the book. And so we would have to kind of figure that out. So, Eric says, eventually we'll have Mistress Carrie's favorite things. Look, guys, Oprah's favorite things is a great idea that she used to do on the old Oprah show. She still does it in O Magazine. She still does it on her own cable network and all of that stuff. But part of the reason that she does that favorite things thing is that she negotiates like discounted prices for her fans. Like brands would try to become one of Oprah's favorite things. And they would offer up, hey, we'll give you tons of free stuff for your studio audience. We'll give you special discount codes for your audience or whatever, because we just want to be one of Oprah's favorite things. I've given you guys Mistress Carrie deals in the past when I get access to them. But if there are companies, if there are products that want to become a Mistress Carrie favorite thing and they want to send me samples, and if I like it, it's something that could become a Mistress Carrie's favorite things thing, I'm all about that. Are you kidding me? I would be all about being able to hook you guys up with really cool stuff that I love and to be able to get you free stuff and stuff at a discount. Hell yes, I would do that in a hot minute. Kelly says Dennis Dunaway, the original Alice Cooper group, has a book out called Snakes, Guillotines, and Electric Chairs. Kelly, he was on the podcast in 2025 talking about the book. He came on the podcast talking about that and talking about the 50th anniversary, like the reunion of the original Alice Cooper band. So like I said, there are these opportunities for us to do these rock star books and to do a book club. So I'm all about it if we could pull it off. Ozzy's book just came out. I don't know if we could get Sharon or Kelly or somebody to do a book club, but like Last Rites just came out. Like he finished the book 2 days before he died. So there's plenty of books. And I think Rockstar Stories are super interesting, which is why Behind the Music was such a compelling show back in the day, because artists would tell the story of how they formed and how they grew up. And every artist's art came from some kind of tumultuous upbringing or some kind of troubled times. And so the artists we love and the music we love came from somewhere. And when you read these books, going back to Motley Crue's The Dirt, like these books are compelling. Let's see. Ralph says, got a rare hair metal CD for Xmas. Bo Nasty, dirty but well dressed. Oh my God, that is a collectible. Mr. Cole says, I saw you as I was getting up from the table after having a snack. Gotta love the platelets, people. All right, now I don't understand what's going on. So anyway, these are all the birthdays. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Lots of music headlines to go over tonight that we can just talk about briefly. Jelly Roll, 2 months ahead of his goal of being on the cover of Men's Health magazine for March of this year. He's on the January cover. And it was announced today by Netflix that on January 20th, when Netflix rebrands Star Search, Jelly Roll is going to be one of the guests and one of the panel, which is unbelievable. Chrissy Teigen is going to be one of the guests. So Jelly Roll is off to the races with everything that he's doing. And the fact that he's lost over 200 pounds and he met his goal of being on the cover of Men's Health magazine, pretty unbelievable. Speaking of Netflix, the Depeche Mode concert movie M is hitting Netflix by the end of the week. This weekend, Labyrinth is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Labyrinth is going back in theaters. If you are a Muppet head, if you're a Jim Henson lover like I am, especially if the kids and grandkids have never seen Labyrinth, go online. The tickets are available in select theaters. Get the tickets and take the kids. It stars David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, who was just in Top Gun Maverick. She was 16 in Labyrinth 40 years ago. Extreme has announced that they are at work right now on their 7th studio album. and of course Extreme later on this year are going to be out on the Carnival of Sins tour with Motley Crue and Tesla. So is it going to be possible that we get new Extreme music before they go out on that tour? Possible. And speaking of new music, Sully Erna from Godsmack says that maybe Lighting Up the Sky is not going to be the band's last full-length brand new album. He says that there's a trial period with some new members of the band and that he's got plans for 2026 and that he is open to working on new music with these new musicians, but nothing is set in stone. So, Bish says, Carrie, Mom got new meds at her appointment today to stabilize her leukemia better so that we can toast to an absolute badass. Absolutely. Let's see. All right, you guys are talking about something that I don't know. Donna says, you called it, Carrie. I told you guys. Bands always say, we're done, we're retiring, no new music. They always change their minds. Dave Mustaine is insisting he's not going to change his mind, but they're releasing what he's saying is going to be the band's last studio album. And also that the farewell tour is going to take like 3 to 5 years, he says. So we'll see what happens after that. Although Dave Mustaine is suffering from something called Dupuytren syndrome, which is affecting his finger mobility in his hands. So Dave Mustaine might be telling the truth because physically he's not going to be able to play guitar anymore, which I think is a big part of the reason why he decided at this point to start the beginning of the end of Megadeth. I don't think it's because he doesn't want to play music anymore. I think he realizes that in the next few years, he's going to lose the ability to play guitar because of his Dupuytren syndrome. So, let's see. Donna says, cheers to Bish's mom. All right, let's look at some concert listings. Now, as a reminder, these are concerts in New England. If you're outside of New England, joining us here in the War Room, these tours are all going to be on the road at an arena, at a venue near you. Nine Inch Nails extending the Peel It Back tour February 13th at the TD Garden. Trent Reznor saying that the first leg of the Peel It Back tour inspired him and Atticus Ross to prioritize a new Nine Inch Nails album that could be coming this year. Bad Omens with Beartooth and President are going to be at the Garden on March 11th. Weird Al on July 18th. Iron Maiden and the aforementioned Megadeth on September 9th, and Rush on September 12th and 14th. At the DCU Center, Bring Me the Horizon on May 1st, Journey on June 6th, and something went out and then got taken down, talking about Silver Scream Con 5 being back at the DCU Center in 2026, but it sounds like they are looking to move Silver Scream Con closer to Halloween in early October. They have taken down all of the references to that big announcement, but it looks like Silver Scream Con 5 is going to be back at the DCU Center in 2026. I'll bring you more details on that coming up. Waiting on updates to the schedule at Big Night Live in Boston. As soon as we get some additions, we'll let you know. The Xfinity Center in Mansfield, the outdoor shows for the summer, Hardy, Evanescence, Train, Chicago and Styx, Motley Crue, Tesla and Extreme, Avenged Sevenfold and Good Charlotte, Lynyrd Skynyrd and Foreigner. Also, a bunch of shows that are just happening all over. One-off shows like Ghost at Mohegan Sun at the end of January, Kenny Wayne Shepherd at the Chevalier Theater, 3 Days Grace at the Mohegan Sun Arena. That's going to be with I Prevail and the Funeral Portrait. Also, Cheap Trick at Foxwoods, Pussifer at the Wang, Lamb of God at the Mohegan Sun Arena, and Rush doing 2 more shows at the end of October and November 1st. There's 2 shows there. Leaderbank Pavilion has got Satch Vi Triumph, which I've got tickets to give away on the Pike in Worcester all this week from 3 to 7. PikeFM.com. Download the Pike app if you want to try and win those. Youngblood on June 9th. Yellow Card, Toto and Christopher Cross. By the way, one of the things we did not talk about earlier, Steve Lukather from Toto, it was confirmed over the new year, Alex Van Halen is in the studio working with Steve Lukather on new music. Is it rumored unfinished Van Halen tracks? That's the theory. So we're waiting to find out. The summer concert season for Fenway Park has not been announced yet, but we know that dates and shows are going to be coming. By the way, spring training Red Sox tickets go on sale on Thursday. There is light at the end of the winter tunnel. At the Palladium in Worcester, Lacuna Coil, Des Rocks, Clutch and Corrosion of Conformity, Slaughter to Prevail, and Magnolia Park are all going to be at the Palladium in Worcester. Roadrunner in Boston has got Echo and the Bunnymen coming in June. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway is going to have Sabaton and Pop Evil. The Dropkick Murphys around St. Patrick's Day, Black Label Society, Lamb of God, and Bill Murray. By the way, all of these shows are on the concert calendar. Nothing More is going to be at the House of Blues next month. The Dropkicks on St. Patrick's Day. The Hives, Guar, Alter Bridge with Filter and Tim Montana. This tour just got announced yesterday. David Lee Roth going out on a headlining solo tour. It's called An Evening with David Lee Roth. The tickets go on sale. There's 3 shows in New England. There is the House of Blues on May 24th. There's the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom on May 29th, and there is also the Toyota Oakdale Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut on May 31st. All of those tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Wolf Mother at the House of Blues coming up in June. Wednesday, are you okay? You were sleeping. The Paradise Rock Club. Oh, that's a typo. The Street Dogs were there in December. Hold on. Copper Mug, Moscow Mule, by the way. Mr. Cole says the DCU calendar still shows Silver Scream Con October 2nd through the 4th of 2026. Yeah, and an announcement had gone out, and then that announcement got taken back. But if the DCU Center has got it up on the calendar, then that's when it is. Silver Scream Con 5 at the DCU Center, October 2nd through the 4th. Paradise Rock Club, Our Lady Peace, and the Verve, and the Circle Jerks are going to be there. And City Winery Boston, the Smithereens are coming up on the 10th, and the Nelson Brothers. Tickets are on sale right now, April 26th. We're still waiting on shows to get announced for the Stage at Suffolk Downs, which is the outdoor venue at the old racetrack. They completely rehabbed it, and they had a bunch of rock shows there last year. New music coming out this Friday. The only big rock release and the first big rock release of the year is the self-titled 8th studio album from Alter Bridge, which comes out this Friday. And we were just talking about how Alter Bridge is going to be at the House of Blues in May with Filter and Tim Montana. I did drink Mr. Cole and Rachel and Heidi. Let's see. Frank says, Corrosion of Conformity, my favorite song, Clean My Wounds, brings me back 30 years ago. Heidi says, hey, Keith, happy unbirthday. Mail call, nothing in the mail call this week. We're still recovering from all of the amazing stuff and delicious cookies that you guys sent me last week. So if you ever need to find me or send something to the studio, that is the address you send it to. Once again, this is the most recent additions to the online Mistress Carrie store, the reflective beanies, the plugins, jack racks, which is built to look like a guitar amp with 4 guitar plug keychains that you can mount on your wall and customize it. So many bands have licensed their logo and artwork to jack racks, and I'm the first radio DJ or podcast host to have a jack rack, which is pretty cool. That whole Mistress Carrie part of it is magnetized on there, so you can actually swap them off. Maybe someday I'll make a new grill for it. But the jack racks are available in the online store, and some of the new stickers that are also available as part of the sticker packs at mistresscarrie.com. Just go to the shop. If you do not have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, they are available through Patreon. I was talking about it earlier. We'll talk about the book club, Backstage Pass holders. We're going to do our interactive live stream on Zoom coming up on Sunday at 7:30. So if you don't have a Backstage Pass, you find out who's going to be on the podcast so you can submit questions. You get travel blog updates. I am going to be traveling in February, so I'll give you guys details on that. Early access to event tickets, exclusive concert ticket giveaways. Everybody that has a Backstage Pass got free concert tickets as a Christmas gift, the show of their choice. They were given a menu, and they all got free concert tickets, and you also get merch discount codes as well. Um, duh, duh, duh. Eric says, this is going to be the first year in 10 years I'm going to be working for the Cubs that I won't be working at all. I had to take a year off to get my baby girl better as she needs a total of 4 more surgeries to fix her TMJ issues. And she was born with a cleft palate and she had 1 surgery yesterday. So, Eric, you're a badass dad. You're a badass girl dad. We're putting your life on hold to take care of your daughter. That's amazing. So cheers to you and sending love to your daughter as well. Heidi says, Mistress Carrie, you need to make a cookbook for your cookies and the limoncello cookies. Yeah, well, you guys make great cookies too. So any news on 5-Finger Death Punch? Jessica wants to know. I think you can expect a 5-Finger Death Punch announcement this week or next week. There's a big one coming. Do one with your headphones and purple hair. Wait, which one are we talking about? Let's see. Oh, Bish. Yeah, we got to talk about the Pats, which I was going to talk about before we get out of here. But Pats are on Sunday Night Football. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock in the wild card weekend. So let's go, Pats. Wednesday, what are you doing over there? Wednesday's Princess and the Peeing It over there. Hold on. I'm going to have to adjust the pug cam a little bit. I got Friday right here next to me. But if I adjust... Wednesday is sitting up there on all of these stacked pillows here on the green couch in the war room. So you get Friday, who's sitting here very quietly for a change. And then there's Wednesday, who is napping up on the pillows up there. Because 1 pillow is not enough for my girl. She needs 80. So if you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass yet, just go to patreon.com or just go to mistresscarrie.com and click the Patreon logo. And we'll do our live stream this Sunday night at 7:30 on Zoom. And a reminder of all the places that you can find me on social media and all of the radio stations and apps where you can listen to me every weekday on the radio. And guys, we are this close to 5,000 members of the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group. I was on there today. We're literally, I think, like less than 100 people away from hitting the 5,000 people mark. So if you have not yet joined the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group yet, it's a free, open to the public group on Facebook. It's a way to galvanize the veterans community. It's a way to galvanize the civilian populace in support of our veterans. It's a way to disseminate information about veterans benefits. It's a place for civilian loved ones and veterans to ask questions about benefits. It's also a place where veterans organizations that are looking for financial donations, support, volunteers, or just to get the word out about events that they're doing. And also for people that are looking for volunteer opportunities or places to donate money for charitable causes. Or if you're a veteran-owned business, you want to promote yourself, or if you're a veteran looking for work, these are all great ways. This is just veterans content. We don't talk about music there. We don't talk about anything else there. That stuff does not make it through the filters. This is just veterans content. Whether it be sharing info. There's a lot of veteran service officers that follow this page that are always chiming in and helping to answer questions or steer people towards resources. So it's gone above and beyond when it comes to the success that I thought that the Veterans Rock Group was going to have when I started it all. And so thank you to everybody that's actively participating in the group, actively posting, actively answering questions. But we're really close to hitting the 5,000 member mark, which is pretty badass. So let's see. Yeah, the Pats are playing the Chargers. Sunday Night Football kickoff is at 8 o'clock. So there you go, guys. Matthew Nelson is going to be my guest on episode 292 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. That goes live at midnight tonight. If you are looking for a brand new podcast to listen to, or if you're looking for a new book, the book is available everywhere. And in the show notes of the podcast, there's also the link to get tickets to see him at City Winery Boston. Let's see. Carol says, can we do the live stream at 7? I can look, Carol. I don't see why not. It's Sunday night. So, yeah, I don't see why not. Because of the Pats game. Aha. Yes. I will move the live stream for the Pats game. Absolutely. 100%. Didn't even think about the Pats game when I scheduled it. But yes, I'll get with you guys on Patreon and we'll get it scheduled. But yeah, 100%. Because the game's at Gillette. So like no time change for us. Yeah, we want to watch kickoff at 8 o'clock. Ralph says, check out Soundcheck Studios in Pembroke. They always have great cover bands there. Ralph, absolutely. And keep me up to date if you see something there that you think everybody else here in the War Room needs to see. So, all right. You guys want to see how quickly they fall asleep? Asleep. That's how quickly pugs fall asleep. Insane. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me every Tuesday night at 8:30. Happy New Year. First show of 2026. Cheers to you guys. I will see you guys next week. And please be careful on the ice. Don't wear your Crocs. It's very slippery. Falling hurts.